Hello and what's up, everyone? I hope all of you are doing great. And I'm back with the day two of the Quantitative Aptitude series. And we were doing percentages. And in the first part, that is the day one, I have solved almost 7 to 8 questions and 7 questions to be very specific. Because the eighth question we will going to start today onwards. So we have already solved the seven very fundamental yet important questions in the day one. So if you haven't watched that video, then do watch it so that your concepts get clear. And then come to this video. And here we will start with the question 8 of this series. And here it is the day 2. So let's start with the question 8. And what this question is saying, in a cooking contest, Chef Arjun was preparing his special sauce. The recipe was originally written as a fraction, but during the live show, the judges added 25% more spice to the numerator and reduced the denominator by 20%. Surprisingly, the taste ratio turned out to be 3 by 4. Then what was the original recipe? So let's say we are dealing on a scale of 100, on a scale of 100. Okay. Now, according to the question, the judges added 25% more spice to the numerator, which means the 25% of 100. So 25% of 100 means it is 25. Okay. And if you add 25 in 100, it is 125, which means the numerator becomes 125n. And for the denominator, it is said that the denominator is reduced by 20%. What is 20% of 100? It is 20 only. And if you subtract 20 from 100, it will be 80, which means the denominator is 80. So 80d. Then the fraction becomes 3 by 4 according to the question. The question said the fraction, the ratio turns out to be 3 by 4. Now let's just solve this question, this fraction. Then it will be n by d equals to 3 by 4 and multiply. This will go there. This will go there. So it is 80 by 125. So we have to solve this only. So 420 4 fives are 25 fives are, so it is like 3 fours are 12 and 25. So 12 by 25, which is the option B. So option B is the correct option. And this was a very simple and easy question, but I hope you have learned a lot of things through this question. Let's move ahead to the next question, which is the question number 9. Okay, so let's solve this question. According to this question, a gamer named Rohan bought a powerful sword in his fantasy game. First, its strength increased by 30% after an upgrade, but then due to a glitch, the strength decreased by 30%. Then what is the net percent change? Most of you will think that if it is increased by 30% at first and then decreased by 30%, then there is no net change, and you will say that the correct option should be option C. Many of you will think like that C should be the correct option. But that's not the way to solve such questions. First, it says that 30% increment, and then it is saying that 30% decrement. To solve this question, you have to apply special trick. Whenever you find such questions, always use this trick. That is 30% increment minus 30% decrement, multiply 30 into minus 30 divided by 100. So these two values get cancelled together, and 30 multiply minus 30 would be minus 900 divided by 100. So when you multiply 100 by 9, it is 900, so it will be minus 9. So 9 is the magnitude, and minus represents that the value is decreasing, means there is a decrement as the net percent change. So 9% is the correct answer, but with a decrement. So which option is the correct one? Here, A option, that is the magnitude is 9% and decrement, that is decrease. So option E is the correct option. Let's move on to the next question. Now let's solve this particular question. The question is saying that a theme park opened with 8,000 visitors in its first year. The park became very popular, and the number of visitors started increasing at the rate of 15% per year. Remember this, per year, which means they are increasing at a rate of 15% per year. So let's say you are having two toffee in on Saturday, and it increasing at the rate of 2%, which means first it is 2, then it will be 4, then 2% of 4 will be at the next day. So which means that you have to apply the concept of successive increment. That is, successive increment says that let's say you have a value of x and you incremented 10% of x, right? And you are getting a value y, which is 10% of x. Now according to successive increment, when you increment 10% again, then this percent increment of 10 should be of y and not the x. That is what it is means. Successive means you have to increment, like let's say x is 100 and you are incrementing 10% of 100, then it is coming out to be 110. Now if you increment the 10% again, then this 10% increment should be of 110 and not the 100. That is said by successive increment. Okay, so when you do successive increment, you have to increment the just before value and not the start initial one, right? So you will increment the 10% of 110 here and not the 100. This is what I am going to teach you through this question. So let's erase these things first and coming out to the question only. This was the concept of successive increment. Okay, so that therefore first it is 8,000, right? Initially it was 8,000. Now it is increasing at a rate of 15%. So when you increment 15%, so 15%, which means 15 by 100 of 8,000. So 0 gets cancelled and 15 multiply 80. So when you do that 15 multiply 80, what you will be getting? You will be getting like a value, like let's do that. So it is 1200. So you will add 1200 in the initial value, which is 8,000. So 8,000 plus 1200, it will be 9,200, which means the 15%, after the 15% increment, the value becomes 9,200. Now again we have to increment 15%. So this 15% increment should be of 9,200 and not the 8,000. So when you increment, when you calculate the 15% of 9,200, which means 15 by 100 of 9,200. So the zeros get cancelled and you will multiply these two values, that is 92 multiply 15. So when you multiply 92 with 15, it is coming out to be 1380. 1380. So you will add this 1380 in the 9,200. So 9,200 plus 1380, and it is 0, 8, 5 and 10. So it is coming out to be 10,580. 10,580. So after 2 years, the value becomes 10,580, which means the option B is the correct option and the question is solved. I hope you have understood the concept of successive increment very well. In this same manner, you can do the successive decrement also. Great. Let's move on to the next question. If you have understood the previous question, then do give it a try. Pause the video, solve this question by yourself, and mark your option, then check for the correct answer. So here in this question, it is saying that a famous amusement park introduced a special entry ticket priced 1200, but because of a sudden rainstorm, the park announced three successive rainy day discount, each time slashing the ticket price by 10% of its latest price. Slashing means falling, which means there is a decrement in the price, and the decrement is successive. So we do not have to decrement the price of the initial value every time. We have to decrement the price according to the just before value. Okay. Okay. So let's say you are having 1200. Now 10% of 1200 is what? It is 120. Like 10% of 1200 is what? 120. So you will reduce 120 from 1200. So you will subtract 120 from 1200. It is coming out to be 1080. 1080. Now again the 10% of 1080. So you will take the 10% of 1080 and not the 1200. That is what that is what the meaning of successive increment or decrement is. So 10% of 1080. So 10% of 1080 is simply 108. You can see that, and 108. So you have to decrement 1080 minus 108. So it will be 10 minus 8 is 2, 7, and here it is 972. So it is coming out to be 972. Now you have to decrement once again because it is saying that three successive discounts. So this is 1, this is 2, then another is 3. So 972, the 10% of 972 will be 97.2. So 972 minus 97.2. So let it be 0. Then 10 minus 2, 8. 11 minus 7, 4. Then 16 minus 9 is 7. Right? So, and then it is 8. So this is coming out to be, here is the decimal symbol. So 874.8. 874.8, which means the option A is the correct answer. So this is how you will solve such questions. I hope the concept of successive increment as well as successive decrement is clear now, right? So let's move on with the next question. Now let's solve the last question of the day. Yes, it is the last question of day 2, and we will do more questions in the upcoming videos. Okay, so the question is saying that 2 years ago, a magical crystal was placed in a wizard's garden. Every year, its height grows by 25%, glowing brighter and taller. Today, the crystal stands at 500 centimeter. Then, what was its original height when it was placed first? So, let's say let's say initially this is 100, then it is saying that the height grows 25% every year. So the 25% of 100 is what it is, 25. So when you add 25 in 100, it is 125, right? Now you are pro with this. Fine. Then next, again 25%, again 25%. So 25% of 125 is what? You can simply calculate it as 25% of 125, which means 25 by 100 into 125, right? So you can simply calculate as 25, and it is 4 and it is 5. So it is 125 divided by 4. It is 4 3s are 12, right? Then 4 1s are, then 2, then 5. So this is 31.25. So you will add this in 125 in 125. It will be 52.651. So it is 156.25. 156.25. Now, listen carefully. It is saying that, let's say, one second. Let's say the initial number was x, then 156.25 by 100, it will be equal to what? It will be equal to the 500, that is the present height, right? It will be equal to 500, which is the present height. Now you have to calculate x. It will be 500 multiply 100 divide by 156.25, and when you calculate this, you will get 320 as the answer. Now what we did over here is we have first calculated through successive increment that what will be the value after 2 years if we take 100 as the initial one. So 25% of 100 is what is 25. So we have added and got 125. Then again 25%, it is 156.25. So this percentage 156.25% of x is equals to the 500, because it is given that after 2 years the height is 500, and according to us the height should be of 15. There is an increment of 156.25%, which means 156.25 by 100 of x. Of means multiply. So 156.25% means 156.25 by 100 of x means multiply by x should be equal to 500, because it is given that the height is 500 now, right, after 2 years. So we have calculated the value of x by shifting it towards the right side, and we have got the value as 320. So 320 is the option B. It is the option B. So we have successfully completed the day 2 of this amazing quantitative aptitude series, and I hope you all guys are liking my content. If there is any issue, you can comment it down below, and I will try to respond to you. I will try to give you the proper response uh, as much as possible. And I hope everything is clear. And if you have any doubt, you can comment it down. I will see every comment and try to reply also. So this is done for the video, and now me signing off. Okay, take care, bye bye, and we will meet at the day 3.